Hi, a film I discovered is currently available on streaming services, which I'd heard a lot about, is Antrum, the deadliest film ever made. It's a pseudo documentary meets found footage production, which posits that there is this film named Antrum, which was apparently produced in the late 70s and was submitted to a number of film festivals. But all the festival organizers who watched it happened to die in weird accidents the following day. And the only two times that the film has been shown publicly, the first time there was a fire which mysteriously started within the auditorium, and the second time someone dosed the audience's popcorn with LSD, prompting a stampede and several deaths. So now, after all this time and all these weird occurrences, the film is finally being shown in full, and we are then presented with the film in its entirety. The film within the film is about a brother and sister who, after the young brother's dog is put down, apparently for having bitten him, he asks if the dog has gone to heaven, and his mother says quite sternly that no, she was a bad dog and she went to hell. So to try and ease his concern and his nightmares, the older sister decides to take him off into the forest to where she claims the devil fell to earth after he was cast out from heaven, and so they can dig a hole to hell to release the spirit of the dead dog. Um, One has to look at the film in two different ways. Firstly, as the Antrim story within itself, and then as the wider presentation of it as being a real film. Antrim itself is not great. It's styled to be a late 70s Satan horror film, and it works in some ways. The setting of it almost entirely inside a forest as they dig their hole to hell and start to fall through the layers of Satan's dominion as they go, I think is quite clever and quite cost effective. Hell is still the forest they were in when they started out, but the addition of strange voices or half glimpsed figures, and later two men who may or may not be demons in human skins, and who apparently are roasting people alive and eating them, uh, gives it a strange mood and a strange atmosphere. It is, however, let down by a couple of other areas. The acting isn't particularly good. It's not sufficiently convincing as an authentic 1970s movie. And there is one scene where the brother and sister find a Japanese man preparing to commit suicide in the forest, which did make me laugh as they peep over a rise to catch a glimpse of a man taking his trousers off, which reminded me of the scene in Father Ted, where Ted and Dougal peer over the top of the stone landmark and see a couple having sex on the other side. Um, the idea of it being a cursed film and having strange other elements spliced into it is not wildly original, to be honest. It's very much like the Blair Witch Project, which is the gold standard for this kind of story. We get flashes all the way through the film of black and white footage of horribly injured people in some kind of tiled bathroom area, suggesting that it's the product of a snuff film. While there are sigils scratched into the fabric of the film and the occasional diabolist's Latin message appearing on the screen. And even there is a segment late in the film where a half glimpsed, uh, shadowed figure stares into the camera for 30 seconds, and you only see sort of this part of the face, and it's quite unnerving in a way because you wouldn't expect that in a film. Is it just randomly cuts to this figure where you only see the burning eyes just staring. Um, but it's too hard to take seriously, and the wraparound segments are quite badly flawed because the narration is far too melodramatic, and the acting from the experts being consulted is simply not convincing. Um, as well as that, there is so much in the film that would prompt a second glance were it real. Like, where did these snuff movie segments come from that simply go unremarked upon? That were this a real film, there would be more depth on it. So it's just not convincing as a documentary. So the film within a film is fine, rather than great in any way. But the combination of various elements together mean that it's not entirely satisfactory. It's not particularly scary. It's unintentionally funny, and although it has its effective moments, it's really little more, in fact, than a rough draft of a knockoff of something that was done better 20 years ago.